The lawyer barely opened the will folder when Travis shot to his feet. His chair screeched backward. "Stop," he said, holding up one hand. "Before anyone signs anything, you need to see what she's been doing." He pulled an envelope from his jacket and tossed it onto the coffee table. The sound made everyone flinch. "Bank statements," Travis said, his voice cracking. 2 years of her stealing from our dying father." He spread papers across the table like evidence. His finger jabbed at highlighted lines. 1,000, 12,000, 30,000. "My signature was forged on these," he continued. "Dad trusted her with access. She cleaned out the account." The room went silent. Mom's hand flew to her mouth. Her eyes widened with betrayal. Every eye moved to me. Aunt Karen, Uncle Ray, the lawyer, all waiting, all believing. Kept my face blank. I said nothing. Travis smiled, just barely, and that's when I understood. He thought he'd won. He thought I was guilty and caught and finished. This was just the beginning. "Is any of this true?" Mom's voice sounded like it was coming from underwater. I kept my eyes on the bank statements. Looking at her would break something inside me. Uncle Ray leaned forward, squinting through his reading glasses. "Those dates in June when the withdrawals started. You were in Seattle?" "Online transfers," Travis said smoothly, answering for me. "She had remote access. Dad trusted her." The word "trusted" hung like poison in the room. Aunt Karen shook her head. "I always said she was selfish. We should have known." I forced myself to look at the statements objectively. The ink was too glossy, too modern. One withdrawal was timestamped 3:17 a.m. from 300 miles away. I'd been asleep in Seattle at 3:17 a.m. My keycard would prove it. But I said nothing. Travis kept talking, feeding their anger. And I understood something crucial. They didn't want me to deny it. They wanted me guilty. Guilty meant they understood what happened. My silence was the most powerful weapon I had. The will reading never actually happened. Just stopped. Mom started crying. Uncle Ray demanded that Travis call the police immediately. Travis raised both hands. "I don't want to call the police. Not yet. I want to give her a chance to make this right." He jerked his head toward the hallway. Followed him out. Our footsteps echoed on marble. Nobody tried to stop me. Travis closed a door behind us. We were suddenly alone in a quiet hallway. "Here's what happens," Travis said, his voice dropping. The tremor was gone. The grief was gone. "You sign a disclaimer tonight. You forfeit your entire share of the estate. You walk away quiet, and I don't file charges." He stepped closer, trying to intimidate me with his size. "If you don't," he continued, "I'm pressing charges. Felony fraud. I'll make sure Mom never speaks to you again." I met his eyes. The same eyes I'd known my whole life, but different now. They belonged to someone I didn't recognize. "I'll think about it," I said softly. He nodded, satisfied. Predators always think they've won until it's too late. That night in my childhood bedroom, I opened my phone and started collecting evidence. Every detail I could remember. The glossy ink. The timestamp anomalies. The memo fields that looked typed. The inconsistencies built right into his forgery. My hands were steady. My breathing was calm. Had control. I didn't go home. I didn't answer Mom's texts or respond to Aunt Karen's calls. Instead, I drove to the bank near Dad's old house. The teller was Patricia. She'd always been kind to Dad. She recognized me immediately. "How can I help you?" she asked, but her smile had dimmed. She'd heard. "I need access records," I said. "For the joint account. When I was added. When I was removed." She hesitated. "You're not listed anymore," she said carefully. "I know," I replied. "I just need to see when that changed." She printed one page. Took less than a minute. Travis had been added as sole signer 3 weeks after Dad's diagnosis. There was no record of me being removed. Just replaced. Like I'd never been there. I folded the page and put it in my purse. Sitting in my car, I finally understood. Travis hadn't just forged bank statements. He had rewritten the access logs months earlier. Made himself the only person who mattered. I had my first real thread. Now I just had to pull it. I booked a flight to Seattle using a friend's airline miles. No credit card trail. While the family assumed I'd run away in shame, I sat in a downtown office across from Mr. Callahan, my father's estate attorney. I need to know about the power of attorney, I said. The one my father signed before he died. Callahan adjusted his glasses. He'd known my father for 30 years. Your father changed the power of attorney 6 months before his death, Callahan said. He named your brother as sole agent. When? Asked. June. That was when Travis moved in to help. That was when Dad got really sick. Did he say why? Asked. He said you were too busy with your career to help manage his affairs. The words landed like a punch to my stomach. That's not what he told me, I said. He told me you told him I was too busy. Callahan was quiet. Then he pulled out a document and slid it across the desk. The signature was my father's. Chicky. The date was 2 days after Travis moved in. Photographed it. If there's fraud here, Callahan said quietly, it's buried very deep. I stood and shook his hand. Thank you. What are you going to do? He asked. I'm going to wait, I said. And I'm going to listen. I rented a small Airbnb in a town an hour away from the family house. No forwarding address. No paper trail. Just cash paid up front to a landlord who didn't ask questions. Every night, I sat at a small table with my laptop and a notebook, and I built a timeline like an architect building a blueprint. I pulled Dad's medical records from the hospice organization. I ordered his pharmacy receipts. I found caregiver logs that documented every visitor, every meal, every medication, every emotional response. Travis had been listed as primary contact since June. Primary caregiver since August. Then I found something that made my blood run cold. August 14th. Patient expressed desire for no additional visitors except primary caregiver following emotional episode. Patient needs rest and stability. First suspicious withdrawal. August 16th, 2 a.m., from an ATM near Travis's apartment. I created a spreadsheet. Dates in one column. Amounts in another. Locations in a third. A running timeline of patterns and connections. The pattern emerged slowly, like a photograph developing in dark water. Every large withdrawal happened within 2 days of what the hospice logs called family meetings. Meetings that only Travis had mentioned. Meetings that Travis claimed Dad had wanted. Meetings with no official record. I pulled property records next. Public information. Open source. No law broken, no lines crossed. The house title showed my father's name and my mother's name until the divorce. Then just my father's name for 20 years. Until 2 weeks before the funeral, when a quitclaim deed transferred half the house to Travis. The quitclaim was notarized by someone named Susan Merritt, whose address was listed as a mobile notary service in the next county over. I wrote down her name and her address in my notebook. Greed makes people careless, I whispered to myself in the empty Airbnb. And careless people leave footprints. Mom called on a Tuesday night. Her voice sounded like she'd been crying all day without stopping. Are you coming home? She asked. Not yet, I said. Travis says you're refusing to talk to him. He's talking about getting lawyers involved if you don't sign the disclaimer soon. Closed my eyes. Tell him I'll sign. She exhaled with relief. She wanted this to be over. She wanted her daughter to stop being the villain in the family story. She wanted her family to heal. That's good, she said. That's really good. That's what I was hoping you'd say. I hung up without saying goodbye. Then I messaged an old college friend, Dr. Sarah Chen, now a forensic accountant at a private firm in Portland. I sent her the bank statements Travis had shown us. Anonymized. No context. Just the documents. What can you tell me about these? Yes. She called me back at 2 in the morning. These are definitely forged, she said without preamble. Maybe not obviously to a grieving family, but definitely forged to anyone who knows what they're looking at. The signatures are too identical. Real signatures vary slightly from document to document. These look like they were printed or scanned and modified in Photoshop. My heart was racing. Can you send me a formal report? Yes. Already writing it. You'll have something by tomorrow morning. The report arrived as a PDF at 6:47 a.m. Sarah had done a preliminary analysis that was thorough and devastating. Signature stroke pressure was inconsistent between documents. Timestamp metadata showed documents created in bulk last month, not over 2 years. Nothing was contemporaneous with the dates printed. 92% probability of forgery, her conclusion read. Documents appear to have been created by one individual. I paid her $2,000 through PayPal using an account I'd opened under a different name. Then I printed the report, sealed it in an envelope, and mailed it to my self-registered mail so there would be an official record of when I received it. Insurance. Just in case I needed proof that I hadn't lost my mind. Thanksgiving rolled around on a cold gray Thursday. The family wanted me home. They wanted to show me I was forgiven if I would just apologize and take responsibility. Travis sent a group text. Family dinner at the house Thanksgiving Day. Mom wants everyone there. Let's start healing as a family. Translation. He wanted an audience to witness my contrition. He wanted the family to see me accept guilt and shame. He wanted validation from everyone. I texted back immediately. I'll be there. I wore the same navy dress I'd worn to Dad's funeral. The same dress that made me look thin and sad and fragile. The same dress that made Travis's eyes light up with satisfaction when I walked through the door. He hugged me like nothing had happened. Like we hadn't had that conversation in the hallway. Like he wasn't blackmailing me. I'm glad you came, he said into my hair. I didn't hug him back. I just let him hold me while the family watched and smiled with relief that everything might finally be okay. Dinner was painful in every way. And Karen asked me how I was doing. Uncle Ray made jokes that nobody laughed at. Mom kept looking at me like she was checking to see if I was still the daughter she knew. I wasn't. Not anymore. After dessert, Travis stood up with his wine glass raised. I want to say something, he announced, and the room quieted. To family. And to moving forward. And to protecting what Dad wanted for all of us. He looked directly at me when he said it. I raised my water glass and smiled politely. I didn't say anything. I didn't make a toast. I just smiled and waited. Later, while everyone was in the living room watching television, I excused myself to go to the bathroom. But I went upstairs instead to Dad's old office. The door was unlocked. On his desk, spread out like he wasn't even trying to hide them, was a stack of files. One folder had a label on the spine. Estate Final. My hands trembled as I opened it. Inside were documents I'd never seen before. A will, dated 3 weeks before Dad died. Every single asset going to Travis. The signature page was blank. Next to the will was a sticky note in Travis's handwriting. Get him to sign before meds kick in. I photographed every single page. Every word. Every damning piece of evidence. Then I closed the folder and left the office exactly as I'd found it. By the time I came back downstairs, Travis was already laughing about something with Uncle Ray. Playing the part of the grieving son who was trying so hard to keep the family together despite the betrayal. He caught my eye and winked. I smiled back. Small, controlled, completely calm, and watched his expression falter. For just a second he wasn't sure he'd won anymore. I called the mobile notary the next day. Hi, Ms. Merritt, I said when she picked up. My name is James. I'm doing some research on family property history, and I came across a document you notarized last September. I was hoping you could answer a few questions about it. No threats, no accusations, no drama. Just a curious researcher with a simple question. She agreed to meet for coffee at a neutral location. She was nervous when she sat down across from me at a Starbucks. Mid-50s, wedding ring on her left hand, a canvas bag that probably held her notary stamp and seal and official documents. I showed her the photograph of the quitclaim deed. "Do you remember this?" I asked gently. She nodded slowly. "I do. I remember that one. The gentleman was very insistent that I come the same day. Said he was sick and didn't have much time." "Did he seem aware of what he was signing?" I asked carefully. "Did he seem to understand the document?" "He was quiet," she said. "Mostly his son did the talking. The son said his father was too weak to communicate much, that he'd already explained everything to him." I pulled out a copy of Dad's hospital discharge summary from that same week. Doctor's note in the margin. Patient experiencing moderate confusion due to medication adjustment. Recommend limiting visitors. Susan Merritt's face went pale. "I didn't know," she whispered. "I believe you," I said. "Would you be willing to write down what you just told me? Just a simple statement of what happened." Her hands shook as she wrote out a brief statement on a napkin. I took it to a notary office I'd researched beforehand and had her transfer it to a formal affidavit. She signed it with tears in her eyes. Driving back to the Airbnb, I felt something shift inside me. Not victory. Not yet. But the beginning of understanding that I wasn't going to lose this. That the truth, if I was patient enough, would eventually surface. Christmas came like an obligation that nobody wanted. Travis hosted at the house again. Mom, Aunt Karen, Uncle Ray, some cousins. He played the grieving son so perfectly that it was almost art. He talked about Dad's legacy. He made a donation in Dad's name to the local hospice. He gave everyone thoughtful gifts that showed he'd been paying attention. I brought a photo album. Just pictures from Dad's fishing trips over the years. Nothing controversial. Nothing that could be used against me. Just memories of better times. Travis opened it and smiled tightly. "This is nice. This is really nice." Under the tree, I'd left a single plain envelope addressed to him in block letters. My handwriting disguised. He found it last after opening everything else. When he pulled out the contents, a single page from a bank statement, highlighted in yellow, I watched his entire face change. The smile died. The color drained from his cheeks like someone had opened a drain. The page showed the first withdrawal. $8,000. The timestamp was 3:17 a.m. from a branch 300 miles away. From a branch near his apartment. Not near Seattle where I was sleeping. He slipped the page into his pocket without anyone else seeing it. His hand moved slowly, carefully. Later in the kitchen he pulled me aside. "What is this?" he demanded, his voice low and dangerous. I shrugged like I didn't know what he was talking about. "Don't play dumb," he hissed. "You're making a mistake. A serious mistake." I looked at him calmly. "Maybe." Then I walked away. That night he drank too much. He argued with Uncle Ray about protecting the family legacy and making sure Dad's wishes were respected. His words started to slur. The facade began to crack. Family members started whispering in the hallway. First crack in the dam. The water was starting to find its way through. New Year's Eve came with a group text from Travis. "I've hired a lawyer. We're going to formalize the estate distribution. Everything will be handled professionally and transparently." The family group chat lit up with supportive messages. "That's the right move. So glad you're taking charge. You're doing such a good job handling this situation." I said nothing. I sent no emoji reactions. I just sat with my phone dark in my hands and waited. Meanwhile, I subpoenaed records through a private attorney. Quiet civil discovery. No drama. No announcements. Just paperwork. The bank provided 3 years of detailed transaction logs. Every withdrawal Travis blamed on me came from ATMs within 5 miles of his apartment. Every single one. And every single one had either ATM camera footage or in-person teller signatures, none of which were me. A certified document examiner's report arrived in my mailbox. 92% probability of forgery on all highlighted pages. Signature analysis indicates documents were created by single individual practicing forged signature technique. I locked the report in a drawer. Then I mailed Travis an envelope, no return address, left on his doorstep with my gloved hands. Inside was a one-page summary from the examiner and a handwritten note. Thought you should see this before your lawyer does. 2 days later he called me. His voice was shaking so badly he could barely get the words out. We need to talk, he said. I'm listening, I replied calmly. He hung up without saying another word. I turned off my phone and smiled. Panic smells the same in every family. It smells like desperation and regret and the understanding that you've been caught. He showed up at the Airbnb unannounced. He'd tracked me through my cousin, who'd felt guilty for helping once I explained everything. He banged on the door hard enough that the neighbors probably heard. Open up. I let him in, keeping the chain on at first, then releasing it. He stormed into the small living room like he owned the place. You think you can scare me with some bullshit report, he shouted. I'll sue you for defamation. I'll destroy you. I closed the door quietly. You already accused me of felony theft in front of witnesses, I said. In front of a lawyer. That's documented. He paced. His hands clenched and unclenched. For a moment I thought he might hit me. That was protecting the family, he said. I handed him a folder. Just copies. Bank logs. The notary affidavit. Medical notes. The forgery report. Every piece of evidence I'd collected, organized and prepared. He flipped through them slowly, his face graying with each page. This is circumstantial, he said finally, but his voice had lost all conviction. Which is why I haven't gone to the police, I replied. Yet. He stared at me. What do you want? I smiled thinly. Nothing. Keep going. I'm just collecting. There are still so many threads to pull. He left without another word. The door closed behind him. I exhaled deeply and sat down on the couch. The trap was set. Now he just had to spring it himself. Spring arrived. Travis filed a civil suit against me for undue influence and conversion of assets, claiming I'd coerced Dad into promising me more money in exchange for caregiving. Attached to the suit, the same forged bank statements. He thought flooding the court with paper would overwhelm me. Instead, it gave me discovery power, legal power, the right to demand answers and documents. I subpoenaed everything. His phone records, his email, every notary he'd ever used, his credit card statements, his travel history. An email chain appeared in Discovery. To document specialist, name redacted, from Travis subject, urgent. Need 6 signatures that look like hers. All variations, different sizes, different ink. Need this ASAP or we're screwed. Payment receipt. $800 Venmo. I saved everything to an encrypted drive. Everything. At Easter dinner, tensions were thick as humidity. Travis snapped at Uncle Ray over a bad joke. The whole table went quiet. I sipped water and said nothing. Mom texted me later. What's going on with your brother? He seems different. He seems angry. Truth is surfacing, I wrote back. His empire of lies was starting to crumble under its own weight. Travis's lawyer withdrew from the case. The court filing cited ethical conflict. Then the county prosecutor's office called me. Someone had mailed them a complete folder. Everything. Bank statements. The notary affidavit. The email to the document specialist. The sticky note. All of it. Not me. I'd been waiting. Collecting. Building the case in silence. Someone else had decided the time had come. It took me 3 seconds to realize who. The notary. Ms. Merritt. She'd gone to the prosecutor with everything. She'd turned state's evidence. She couldn't live with what she'd done. The prosecutor explained that they were opening a formal investigation into financial exploitation of an elder and document forgery. Travis's name was on the file. The family learned through a cousin who worked at the courthouse. Aunt Karen called me shaking. Is it true? I didn't report him, I said softly. Someone else did. She cried. We believed him. How did we believe him so completely? I let her talk. No gloating. No, I told you so. Just listening. Being present while the sister she'd called selfish was revealed to have been the only one paying attention all along. Travis went dark for 2 weeks. No calls. No text. No appearances. Just silence. Then he showed up at Mom's apartment with flowers. Red roses. Apology flowers. He cried. Real tears, I think. Or maybe he'd perfected the art of manipulation so completely that he couldn't tell the difference between real emotion and performance anymore. He begged Mom to forgive him. He said it was a misunderstanding. He said he was struggling with grief. He said he didn't know what he was thinking. Mom let him in. Old habits, old love, old willingness to believe the best about her son. But she recorded the conversation on her phone. Every promise, every half apology, every excuse. She sent me the audio file later. Insurance, she wrote. I realized then that she'd been paying attention too. She'd been collecting just like I had. The mobile notary made a sworn statement to the prosecutor. She admitted everything. Travis had asked her to backdate the quitclaim acknowledgement because Dad forgot to sign earlier. She'd refused at first, but he'd pressured her. He'd mentioned losing his referrals if she complained. He'd made it clear that his family needed this. Fear of losing business had kept her quiet. Until the prosecutor called and she realized she could lose her career for participating in fraud. He chose honesty. Travis's name appeared in a formal felony investigation. Financial exploitation of an elder, document forgery, fraud. The courthouse released the information to media outlets. A local news outlet picked it up. Local man accused of stealing from dying father. Aunt Karen called me shaking. Is it true? I didn't do this, I said. But I'm not stopping it either. Travis filed for bankruptcy protection on the estate. His claim: debts incurred by co-executor, meaning me. He was trying to make me liable for phantom debts so the house would be sold to pay them off. I waited 3 days, then filed a motion to intervene, attaching every piece of evidence. The court froze the filing pending fraud review. At the next family barbecue, Travis wasn't invited. He showed up anyway drunk. He stood in the driveway shouting, I didn't do anything wrong. She's the one who stole. Uncle Ray walked out in his apron. You need to leave, he said quietly. Travis swung at him. He missed. He fell. Someone recorded it. The video spread privately among relatives. The prosecutor called me in for an official interview. I brought a binder 3 inches thick. Every page I'd collected organized by date and category. The detective looked at it and smiled. You didn't have to do this, she said. I did, I replied. Because nobody else was going to. They charged Travis with 3 felonies. Forgery, financial exploitation of an elder, filing false documents. Bail was set at $50,000. He posted it using the last of Dad's untouched brokerage account. The irony was perfect. Mom came to my apartment the next evening. She brought Dad's old fishing hat. He'd be proud of you, she said. I took the hat and hugged her. First real embrace in years. Day before jury selection, Travis asked to meet me. Coffee shop near the courthouse. He looked 10 years older. I'll take a plea deal, he said. Misdemeanor. Probation. Everything. Just tell them to drop it. I stirred my coffee. I don't control the district attorney. You started this, he replied. No, I said. You did. The day you decided Dad's memory was worth less than cash. I stood and walked out. Outside it was raining. I didn't look back. Bank videos showed him at ATMs using a card with my name. Timestamps proved I was in another state. The jury winced. The document examiner testified about the forgeries. The notary testified through tears. The prosecutor held up the sticky note. Get him to sign before meds kick in. Guilty on all counts. I sat in the back row. No smile. Just a quiet exhale. 7 years. Restitution. $184,000. The house reverted to joint ownership. Mom and I listed it. I bought a condo near the lake. I hung Dad's fishing hat above the door. Every morning I drink coffee looking at the water. 2 years later, Travis was released on parole. He moved to another state. Sent Mom a letter asking for forgiveness. She decided no contact. Now. That night I opened the binder one last time. I carried it to the fireplace and watched it burn. No ceremony. Just closure. Dad's birthday. 3 years after the will reading. The whole family came except Travis. After dinner, Mom stood up. I let guilt and grief blind me. I'm sorry. She looked at me. Tears in her eyes. I stood and held her. No words needed. Later she gave me Dad's wedding band. I slipped it on my keychain. House sold. I established a scholarship at Dad's old high school for kids aging out of foster care. I named it after him. Mom moved closer to me. We see each other weekly. Travis sent one final message. Tell her I'm sorry. I told the cousin. She already knows. The message never passed on. Some apologies arrived too late. 3 years after the trial. I walk the lake trail most mornings. Sometimes I talk to Dad out loud. Small things. Dates. The anger dissolved somewhere between the ashes and the water. Not forgiveness exactly. Acceptance. Travis dug his grave with every lie, every forged signature, every smirk. I just handed him the shovel by staying quiet. Family healed slowly. Mom laughs again. And call me for advice. I'm not the villain. Not the hero either. Just the one who waited. Who watched. Who let the truth speak. One morning I realized I hadn't thought about Travis in weeks. He'd become irrelevant. And that finally was peace.